First, tell us about the significance of your discovery.
Yes, so we found a very potent antibodies that completely preventing the virus infection in the in vitro cell culture model with live virus, which is very significant because the quantity is very low. That gives you the instant immunity potentially if this gets approved. So especially this one is very good for the population that is immune compromised or elderly, which is difficult to generate the strong immunity, or the section of the population that don't want to get immunized.
Dr. Ji, what is the difference between this potential antibody treatment and then what we're seeing in trials from Regeneron, Amgen, Lilly, which appear to be a lot further along in the process, both as far as trials and also manufacturing?
Actually, we are almost at the same stage right now. There's nobody has the neutralizing antibody in clinical trials, all going to be studied in the next few months. And they including Regeneron, VIA, Eli Lilly, and Amgen in the thinking. And we are at the same stage almost. And we will see the more the merrier. Reason is you want a more neutralizing antibody from different parties, so you have redundancy, firstly. Secondly, you will see which one pans out. And thirdly, it potentially could be synergistic because if you're using neutralizing antibody, that potentially have an effect to say if the virus mutates, some of the antibody may not work after the mutation. So if you have a different angles from different antibody attack the same virus, you may have the redundancy you needed. And also you have the antibody potentially generate body resistance to it after prolonged use. So you want to have multiple parties all coming here with a different type of neutralizing antibody. That's going to help us tremendously.
Doctor, it's David Faber. There are those who are focused on this, who say it isn't that hard to generate an antibody. It's what comes next that becomes much more difficult in terms of a timeline where you can get to a place that you can manufacture at significant scale. Regeneron saying they've got that down to maybe what could be 6 months. But a lot of people say that won't be the case. And my question is, how would Sorrento do it in enough time to be relevant?
Yes. You know, we have a CGMP facility in-house, and we will, at the risk, we're going to start manufacturing in the 100,000 doses and up to 1 million doses in the next few months. And meanwhile, we have collaborators we're discussing right now. They have much larger scale, which in the potentially providing in the millions to tens of million doses each production run. So we're prepared to meet the vast demand in the next few months.
What data do you have to suggest that mutations in the virus wouldn't render this antibody ineffective?
At this moment right now, we know the virus completely preventing the virus infection. This antibody prevents the virus infection completely. And what we see in it is that we have other antibody as well that works as well. And if you're putting the two together or three together as a cocktail, we call COVID shield, that potentially could preventing the virus mutation so that one of the antibody does not work, the other one or two still works. So that gives you a redundancy in the same product.
Are you making any assumptions for dosage at this point? And how can you be confident in those assumptions at this stage of development?
Because we can tell from the in vitro experiment what is the concentration that potentially works to complete neutralizing the virus. And we at the dose right now, we believe if we can get around 1 milligram per kilo, which is for 100 kilograms a person, it's about 100 milligram, which is very easy to handle. And that will be a potentially sufficient and adequate quantity. So that makes the manufacture scale up much easier. We are not talking about into 100 milligram per kilo type, which you need 10 grams, which is a 2 log difference.
But for how long? I mean, as I understand it, when treating a COVID patient with antibodies, it's a temporary treatment, right? It's not a cure. How long do you think that those antibodies will last?
So typical antibody half-life is 2 weeks. However, there's technology right now. You can engineer the antibody to go to up to 2 to 3 months time. There's also technology right now we are employing as well, testing is using the DNA format so that potentially inject the same things as the Moderna, injecting the messenger RNA into the muscle. We let the body muscle to produce it. We potentially let the DNA and in the muscle to let the body produce it. That potentially can last over a year or longer.